In this video, I want to outline a long-term solution for anxiety. So if you're suffering from, say for example, generalised anxiety disorder, or if you're finding just that anxiety is becoming way too big a part of your life, then this video will outline for you a roadmap, an overall strategy that you can use to make a real, positive, and most important, sustainable difference. Hi, I'm Stephen Burns from Mind School, and in this video we're going to be looking at a long-term solution for anxiety. I'm going to be taking you through a 4-stage or a 4-step process that can help you not just cope with your anxiety, but actually work towards making it very much a thing of the past. So let's just kick off and go straight into it, shall we? So the first step or the first stage is where you're looking to understand and accept. When we experience anxiety, especially if it's pretty intense, if we experience it for a long period of time, or if it's generalised in multiple areas of our life, then there is a bit of a tendency for us to demonise that part of ourselves, to think about it as almost like some kind of alien entity that's affected us, to see it as a disease or something that we need to eradicate, something we need to dominate or banish or conquer or defeat. And this is totally understandable because anxious feelings are not fun. They do feel really bad inside our body, so it can feel like we are pretty much under attack. However, what happens is when we demonise our problems like this, when we demonise our emotions, then we create an internal split and we start to fight with ourselves. We start to experience inner conflict. And actually, and this is especially relevant when it comes to generalised anxiety disorder, that then becomes a big part of the problem. We're not just feeling bad, but we're actually fighting with ourselves, and we think we're fighting with, in fact, some kind of, alien entity, some kind of thing that has, no solution, something that we can't control. So because of this, you want to look at it from a very different place. You want to, approach it with a different energy. And for me, this is much more accurate to what is actually going on with our psychology anyway. And this is where you want to understand and fully appreciate that, sure, the anxiety doesn't feel good, it feels like you're under attack, but beneath the surface, it's actually attempting to get something that is worthwhile, to get something that is positive. Because when you get down to it, anxiety is actually not just there to mess up our day. Anxiety is part of our internal protection system. It's often referred to as the saber-toothed tiger effect. Our prehistoric ancestors, they had to have a way to sense threats, to know if they were about to be eaten by some sort of dangerous, hulking, ghastly beast. So our brain evolved to the extent to provide us with feelings like anxiety, any kind of fear-based emotion. They are there to make us aware that there could be some kind of threat in our environment so we can take action and avoid that threat and then move towards safety. So if you think about it, when you really get down to it, those feelings of anxiety, behind it, the force behind it is actually something positive. It's attempting to protect you. It's attempting to move you towards feeling safe. It may be doing a lousy job of it, and maybe in massive overdrive and doing it in completely unnecessary times, but the energy, the sentiment, the intention behind it is actually really positive and really worthwhile. So I think when you fully understand and fully accept this, and not just logically, but when you fully accept it emotionally, then it can just make such a big difference. It can diffuse a large part of those anxious feelings because you stop fighting with yourself. And like I said, this makes up a big part of the overall anxiety problem. And it also allows you to look at anxiety through a much more functional and a much more empowered and useful lens. It's not some sort of disease that you're attempting to eradicate. It's not some part of you that is attacking you, even though it feels like it. It's attempting to do something positive, but it's actually just a little bit misguided, or it's just in overdrive. So that's step 1, where you're looking to understand and accept. So step 2, or stage 2, is where you're looking to do something I call anxiety relief management. And this is where you're making use of specific anxiety relief techniques, and you're using them to make an almost instant difference to the way that you feel in the moment. So you could look at these as coping strategies or coping techniques. To be honest, I don't like that description because the word coping tends to imply that you're basically about to collapse at any point. So I like to think about this more as emotional management or anxiety management techniques. So there are many different amazing anxiety relief techniques that you can use to make an almost immediate difference to the way that you feel. One of them is breathing. You can do very focused breathing. You can also do a really cool technique called the peripheral vision technique. There's a third one where you use the use of your imagination. And there's another one that I love that I call centering, and that's where you kind of restore physical and psychological balance through some very simple centering techniques. Now, I'm not going to go through each of these techniques in this video because I've actually done individual videos on those techniques where I explain them in much more detail. So what I've done is I've included the links to these techniques in the description below. If you want to learn these anxiety relief techniques, then click on the links and check out those videos. But the beauty of these techniques is that it allows you to make a difference to the way that you feel right now. So when you're in the throes of anxiety, when you're starting to really feel kind of bad inside your body, these techniques can just help you make an immediate difference to your emotional and physical well-being. Another function they provide is it actually helps you train your brain so that you can gradually become a much more relaxed person over time. Whenever we have some sort of experience, especially if it's one that impacts us in some way, whether that be a real or an imagined experience inside our mind, we start to create what's called a neural pathway in the brain. And then the more we have experiences like that, the stronger the pathway becomes, and the more likely we are to be able to use that particular path. So when you're using anxiety relief techniques regularly, you're actually creating neural pathways inside your brain that's teaching you to feel that particular way, to feel much more relaxed rather than being anxious like you used to be in the past. So very powerful. Anxiety relief management can be a really useful second step. So that is stage 2, where you're looking to make use of anxiety relief management. So then we have stage 3, and this is where you're looking to solve the anxiety puzzle. So this is where, rather than just using techniques to manage your anxiety, to feel better about it in the moment, you want to start to explore the deeper layers of your psychology. It's not as scary as what it might sound. And essentially what you're looking for are the root causes that are triggering your anxiety. Because the thing is, anxious feelings don't just happen for no reason. There's always a reason, there's always a cause. And often these causes, often these reasons are actually subconscious. They are things that we have bought into at some stage in our life that have now become woven into the fabric of our psychology, and we're not even really consciously aware of them. So we need to spend a bit of time just exploring these deeper layers of our psychology, kind of like a detective, to figure out what those root causes are so that we can then release them, make changes at that level, so that the brain doesn't get the signal to continually feel anxious. So just to give this its official name, this is often referred to as the underlying dynamic. So you're exploring what's beneath the surface, those powerful forces that are actually creating those negative feelings in the first place. To give you an analogy, I like to use the iceberg analogy. It's very commonly used, but it's commonly used for a reason, because it's pretty good. So with anxiety, the anxious feelings that we feel tend to be the tip of the iceberg. We know we feel anxious. There's no real ambiguity about it. We can feel it inside our body. It's something we're very much consciously aware of. However, when you start to go beneath the surface, beneath the tip, there are so many other things that are at play that are actually creating, triggering, and maintaining those surface level feelings of anxiety. And this is the layer you want to start to explore so that you can solve the anxiety puzzle. So there is actually quite a lot to this layer, but just to simplify it a little bit, one of the key things that you're looking to find here is some of what we refer to as the limiting beliefs that are actually causing your anxiety in the first place, the root causes. A limiting belief is kind of like a decision that we've made about life or our potential, or how we think about life, how we interact, and it's almost like become an unconscious rule. It's an idea that's turned into an opinion and then eventually turned into a fact. And it's just become woven in. It's become almost like part of the bricks and mortar of our psychology. We're not really aware of it, but it affects so much of what we do. There's a really great quote that Einstein said. He said that one of the most powerful choices we can make as a human being is to decide whether the world is a friendly place or if it's a dangerous place. Because which one you choose is going to drastically affect the way that you think, the way that you perceive the events that you experience, and also how you feel on a moment-to-moment basis. So you want to explore your own beliefs in relation to your anxiety. And I think it's almost always the case that we've bought into some kind of belief system to do with our safety. That in some way we've decided that we believe that we are under threat, and it's just become stuck in our subconscious. So because of that, the brain is flooding our body with fear-based emotions, with anxiety, to make you aware of these threats. But this is just an old story. It's just an old belief system that we bought into in the past that's just become stuck. So you want to spend some time exploring that. Now, like I said, there is quite a bit to that, but just to get you started, you want to ask this question. You want to ask, what is it I believe that's causing me to feel this way? And you can actually use this for any negative emotion that you experience. What is it that I believe that's causing me to feel anxious? Or what is it I believe that's causing me to feel depressed, if that's the one you want to choose? And you want to just keep on asking this question. Don't just ask it once, because usually when you just ask it once, you get the kind of social answers or the logical ones. You want to get the answers that really sit from within. You want to sense the answers. So to do that, you kind of have to ask the question several times and really, really reflect on it. Take some time with it. So then we move on to the fourth and final stage, and that is where you're looking to reevaluate and release the past. So this is where you take the insights, the explorations into the underlying dynamic, the beliefs that are holding the problem together in stage 3, and you're looking to go through a process where you reevaluate those and you release them entirely from your past. It's kind of like you're just clearing them out so you can feel so much more comfortable in the present, and your brain is not giving you the signal that you're under threat and you need to feel anxious all the time. So again, with this, there is quite a lot to this, and this is something that I would normally take someone through in a therapy session one-to-one. But if you're looking for more information in terms of how to do that reevaluation, that kind of clearing out of the past, then I'd recommend you check out a process called timeline therapy. So this is taken from NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming, and honestly, it is absolutely mind-blowing. It's a way of going back into your past, clearing out all of the things that have caused you to believe these limiting and toxic beliefs that are linked to anxiety, so that you can really just feel so much more comfortable in the present. And one of the reasons why timeline therapy can be really so powerful at releasing the past is because it makes use of something called memory reconsolidation. So memory reconsolidation is the idea that our memories aren't as fixed, static, or rigid as what we might think. That we are continually going back and revisiting the past, reinterpreting events that happened to us, and actually naturally changing the way that we think and feel about them. And how you feel about yourself and how you feel about the world today in the moment is actually based on how we interpret our past events, or certainly a large part of it. So with timeline therapy, what you do is you go back into the past and you reinterpret those past memories. You reevaluate them through older and wiser eyes. So if you've had some kind of bad experiences in the past, who hasn't? Maybe there's some trauma, some abuse, or just some things that made you feel really crap about yourself, then you can actually go back and start to reinterpret them and release those events so that they no longer have a hold on you. And this is one of the key components of successful timeline therapy, and one of the reasons why it can be so incredibly powerful when it comes to a long-term solution for anxiety. So those are the 4 stages, an overall roadmap that you can use as a long-term solution for anxiety. Hopefully you enjoyed it, you found it useful. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. And of course, if you want to check out those other videos on the anxiety relief techniques, then I've included links to them in the description below. So that's all for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell so you can keep up to date with future Mind School uploads as they drop. So enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you later on.